So you're playing Genshin, you do a 10 pull, and you get 5-star Shenhe. Now, what do you get with Shenhe besides Chongyun's anti? Well, Shenhe is a polearm wielding cryo user, and if I don't get this video right, Akio is going to kill me. So we are going to look at the basics of Shenhe, the expressionless anti of Chongyun. Now, Shenhe's normal attacks and charge attacks are going to be normal. They do physical damage. They don't really do much of anything else. Her main part of her kit is actually going to come from her skill and her burst. Her skill does have a tap and a hold. If we tap it, she's going to dash forward, dealing cryo damage, and if we hold it, she's going to do an AoE of cryo damage. Now, if we use the tap or the hold, we're still going to get the same buff and stacking mechanic. How long they last and how many instances you can trigger is determined by if you tap it or if you hold it. So as you can see here, if we tap it, it'll last 10 seconds. If we hold it, it'll last 15. If we tap it, we'll get 5 instances of increased damage. If we hold it, we will get 7. Now let's look at how to actually get the stacks to do this increased damage. Now the stacking mechanic are called icy quills. And the way that we get these icy quills, or the way that we trigger these icy quills is a better way to put it, is that if our normal charged plunging elemental skill or elemental burst, so essentially any kind of damage, is done to the enemy that deals cryo damage, it is going to increase this cryo damage based on Shenhe's current attack. Notice it says current attack and not like base attack like it would on Benny or Sara or Faruzan. So this is going to include weapons. This is going to include artifacts and the stats of those artifacts, and then something like Bennett increasing her attack, right? The current attack. So everything calculated together. Now, like I said, it will be cleared once its duration ends, either 10 or 15 seconds, or a certain number of instances occur, either 5 or 7, depending if we tap or if we hold. Now, this does also work with one of her passives, where if we tap it, it will increase the cryo damage further of the skill and the burst. If we hold it, it will increase the damage further of the normal and charged and plunging attacks. So in this particular team, we are using Ayaka, and Ayaka is going to be doing a lot of damage through her normal and charge attacks. So we're going to hold it down for Ayaka. If we wanted Ayaka to do more damage through her skill or burst, then we would just simply tap it instead. This is something that I am wondering about, and Akio, if you know the answer, you can either stitch this and make a video or put it down in the comments. In this particular team, right, we have Shenhe, and then we also have Sucrose. So if we use Shenhe's skill, and then we go over to Sucrose and use Sucrose's burst, and let it absorb cryo, either through Ayaka's skill or whatever way, whatever method, Sucrose's burst absorbs the cryo. Does each time it pulses out count as cryo damage because it's doing cryo damage as well as swirl damage? Does that count as cryo damage? Does that increase the amount of damage? Does that also use one of the quills up? Do we not want to do that? Because then it's using up the quills versus leaving them for Ayaka. What is the best way to work like Sucrose into this? Or for instance, Kazuha, if Kazuha's burst absorbed cryo, right? That's kind of my question, is does it use up one of the icy quills when somebody like Sucrose or Kazuha's burst absorbs the element and then deals cryo damage? So either stitch that or put that down in the comments for me. So now we're going to look at her burst. And what her burst is going to do is that it is going to do an instance of AoE cryo damage. It is going to summon a talisman spirit on the field. And what it's going to do is that it's going to deal periodic cryo damage as well as shred the enemy of their cryo resistance, making them weaker to cryo damage. So we really want to partner Shenhe up with somebody like in this team Ayaka or Skirk or somebody like that that's going to be doing a ton of cryo damage. Shenhe is an amazing buffer of said cryo damage. Now this is also going to work with her other passive, where the character that is inside of the active field of her burst is going to be getting a 15% cryo damage bonus. So if we look at Ayaka's kind of a base cryo damage, it is 73.6. Once we have used Shenhe's burst and only used Shenhe's burst, then Ayaka's cryo damage bonus is actually 88.6. Now Ayaka does have a lot of stuff through Mist Splitter and things like that where we can actually increase it even further on Ayaka, which is why Shenhe is also really good for Ayaka, not only because of the cryo resistance and the cryo damage buffing, but the cryo damage buff But now it's at 122.6% on Ayaka, which is crazy. That's so much cryo damage bonus. That's almost double what she started with through things like Mist Splitter and Shenhe on Ayaka. Now we're going to look at artifacts for Shenhe. In this particular trial, they did run 2-piece Glad, 2-piece Shimanala because the higher her attack, the more damage buff that she's going to be giving over on the cryo damage. So this is going to get a ton of attack over to her. As you can see, she's almost a 3,000 attack in this video. I think Akios has well over 4,000 actually. Another option that you can use is going to be like Noblesse. That takes her more to like a burst supporter than a attacking supporter, right? Because you're not going to build as much attack on her, but you are going to be able to give an attack bonus through Noblesse. So it might be if you're running her in much more of a almost mono cryo team, then I think that 2-piece would be better. But if you're going to start getting into something else where you might be doing something like a melt team, maybe, then you might want to swap over to Noblesse. I might be wrong on that, but I think that Noblesse is much more for like non-mono cryo teams, and 2-piece attack is going to be much closer to like a mono cryo team. Now for the main stats on these artifacts, you're going to be running attack across the board or ER attack. It's going to depend on your weapon as to whether or not you're going to be running an attack sans or an ER sans. Speaking of weapons, in this, she is using her signature Calamity Queller. Calamity Queller is going to give her a ton of attack with this weapon to increase the amount of buffing that she can do. And in this, as you can see, she's also going to be running the ER Sands to be able to use her burst off cooldown. Now, an option where you're going to kind of break the mold would be something if you were to use like Engulfing Lightning on her. This is going to give her ER on the main stats of the weapon, but then you're still probably going to be running an ER Sands because this weapon turns energy recharge over 100% into attack. So you're going to be getting a ton of energy recharge to use her burst off cooldown, but then you're also going to convert that energy recharge, or I guess copy that energy recharge over to attack, giving an attack buff based on the energy recharge. So this is one where you would be running an ER weapon and an ER Sans. Some other options are going to be like the Catch. This is going to be a good one where you're going to have ER. It's going to be nice to have like the elemental burst damage increase in the crit rate, but this is just going to be more of like an ER weapon where you're going to be running an attack Sans. Then of course you do have something like Favonius. Same thing, you're going to be running an attack Sans on this because you're going to be getting your ER from your weapon. You can run something like Mountain Bracing Bolt. It is going to give you some more ER, but at that point I think that you're going to be kind of closer to you just using like Favonius, right? And then of course you do have Lithic Spear, which is going to give you attack in the main stat. And then in the substats, the more leeway characters you have, the more attack you can actually get and crit rate that you can actually get from this weapon. So if you're going to be running her with multiple leeway characters, maybe like Chongyun or something, I don't know, then you're going to have a bunch of attack on her from this passive. Now she does count as a leeway character, so you are going to be able to have this passive at least once just having it on her alone. Now, Shenhe is a character that, like I said, Akio is a Shenhe main. I believe that Akio either has might have like C6R1 or C6R2, maybe even higher. I always get his build for Cloud Retainer and Shenhe mixed up for the constellations and the weapons. I always get them mixed up a lot. But Akio is a Shenhe main. Actually, I'm going to put Akio's build of Shenhe right here. Go check out Akio. He's really cool. He does make content as well. No, he did not tell me to say this. He's in my community, and I do watch his stuff every now and then. So go check him out. I will also tag him down below as well. And if you're on YouTube watching it, I don't know if he has a YouTube channel, but then go check him out over on TikTok if you have a TikTok. Now, that's going to be it for this video. Cookie has green hair. I have purple hair, and I will see you in the next one.